We can start now. We can start now.
America, America.
See, let me clean this
What's
up real
good,
quick.
Rob?
What's up, Rob?
What's good, Al?
What's up, man?
Al,
What's up, man?
guy. And that we are not 2025 blue. I got the headpiece, you got the shirt. Let's do it.
Where's the blue? Yeah, the blue's here, man. We got the blue.
The blues and yellows.
I don't know that we're feeling blue. Are we feeling blue? Huh?
I mean, you know what? I would say that I was happy for a day off because I was like feeling like I
Oh,
had some
shoot.
phlegm in my throat, and then I just kept. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I just like have it everything in my mind of like who's around me, like I immediately remembered the person who coughed on the train and didn't cover their mouth, and I looked at them and walked away, and he coughed again and again and didn't cover his mouth. I was like,
Oof.
yo, this motherfucker's gonna get me sick. And
Oof.
here I am today. I woke up feeling this way.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't be normal.
terrible. That's terrible. Well, listen, a couple of people,
You be feeling that shit or not?
listen, a couple of people are sick. I was gonna ask, have you thought about masking?
I
And I know
mean,
you definitely take the subway
I have
pretty
masked.
frequently. You know. Okay.
I masked,
Do you
man,
mask
but
at
I'm just
work?
like still upset because
Do
I'm
you
just
mask
like,
at work, or do you mask on the way to work?
on the way to work.
Okay.
On the
Yeah.
way to work, yeah. But
Yeah.
sometimes I'm not perfect. I don't always have it, so that time I didn't have it. But usually I mask up.
You were extra cautious. You was like, ugh, let
You
me walk over
know,
here.
nah, that time I didn't have it because I had just, shit, it's so far. As I get on the subway, I'm thinking, all right, let me take off some stuff and breathe while I'm waiting because
Right.
I'm
Right.
here. Shit. I didn't want to give the guy attitude, but I had to walk away. And it was funny because I was, I was like, am I smacked? Am I like hallucinating? Like that these people, I feel like they fucking with me. Cause then a family a family started coughing amongst themselves. And I'm like, yo, cover your mouth. It's like, what's the camera? They pranking me. Somebody's pranking me right
Where's
now.
the
Like
camera?
somebody's like, "Look at this guy overreacting."
No way, man.
I was in my head like,
That's crazy. Wow. You said
but
a whole
I was
family.
bugging, bro, because now I
They
feel a
had a
little
cough
sick,
orchestra.
bro. Yeah, it was. I thought I was like, my bug. I must be bugging. I'm just gonna calm down. If I get sick, I get
Well,
sick. Fuck it.
the winter time here in New York City has always been kind of known as the months where people are generally getting sick, and you got the cold. It used to
For
be the
sure, for sure.
cold, and unfortunately, I think since COVID, it's been more than just a cold, and I did hear of people getting really sick recently. Like
Yeah,
I'm talking
yeah.
like I can't get out of bed sick, So definitely, I mean, I asked you about masking up. I'm a hypocrite because I've thought about it, but I haven't done it yet. I'm like, what am I waiting for? Now I'm hearing from you. I think starting tomorrow, bro, because
But the shiesty don't count, right?
well, not really. I mean,
Yeah,
to
because
really
I be having
prevent
the shiesty on.
to really prevent like and try to minimize the like risk to catching something, we'd have to wear those N95 masks. I'm talking about
Yeah,
the ones with
no,
the
yeah,
two
yeah.
strings and the big, yeah. I mean, those are really what I've read that is recommended, and it's like really for safety. It's the N95s, not the regular surgical mask, blue or black we wear. Those are
That's
helpful though
that
too. Those are.
America. No, that was the face of the guy who no,
Remember when
no,
people were making masks,
not my
bro?
mask.
We're coming up on the
Yeah, man.
5 year
I was people.
anniversary.
I was people. Yeah, for sure.
That was cool, man. Uh,
I think about it like, wow, I don't really know how to follow. I mean, it's a simple procedure, like, but I couldn't like you couldn't just throw me in and I would know. Like you couldn't. I was like, damn.
Yeah,
So
man. We're coming up on the anniversary of that, which is amazing to think, man. And so still thinking about like the start of this year. So we got to connect here on this channel, but we did more music last time. And so this is bringing, back to Manuscript and for this year, which soon enough we will be coming up on a year of starting streaming this and just having conversations, raw conversations about what's going on usually in the world, and then of course what's happening with us as men, and then talking to and through some issues that affect us as men and manhood and the likes. So there's definitely some stuff to that I've been reflecting on, Rob, especially like as a man and like what's been going on. 2025 have certainly, I mean, started kind of like this roller coaster's already roller coasting. We're already about to
yeah,
be halfway through the
man.
month, and when you just consider the world news that we've seen, it's like wow, uh, we can't catch a break in our grief. So of course, well, first, in the spirit of what we do here, how
Yeah,
are
we
you
know for
feeling?
sure to
How
talk
are you
about
feeling?
LA, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. How are you feeling though,
Yeah.
Rob, coming in before we get into LA and what's happening out there in California?
How do I feel?
Yeah, yeah.
Just in general, I mean,
Or the
grateful.
feeling
You
will,
can only feel grateful
Yeah,
in hindsight. Like,
yeah.
it's funny you bring that up because it was just like the other day where I was reflecting on how you can't really be disconnected from it. You are disconnected, but like for me personally, speaking for myself, I just couldn't go through my day and just kind of act like it was ironic, like I'm freezing, but then I couldn't not be grateful and think to myself of the people who are like too hot, burning. Their stuff is burned down. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just the seeing the duality, just noticing that I was just like, wow, it's kind of crazy. So although I've been fine, um, I still just been praying for people I know out there too, that are close. Uh, I'm hoping that the shit stops. You know what I'm saying? Everyone finally gets help, and yeah, man, it's been odd. Like I've been hearing. Yeah, yeah. Let me not jump too much into it. How have you haven't told me how you were feeling? Let me ask you too. Is that like things crazy? Yeah. Shit. How are you
Mm.
feeling, bro? I'm feeling grateful.
Yeah, that's good, man. I think I'm in the same boat in terms of gratitude.
Yeah.
Waking up with that. I think I have, I, I'm very like, yeah, I'm speechless really. Like as far as like thinking of couldn't because I can't imagine what folks on the West Coast are going through right now, and currently still with the fear and just the unknown of what could happen next. And then just like everything going to ashes. I mean, we've seen some terrible storms that like destroyed things, knocked down trees. Uh, you know, take the awning off of a store, like ripped something off, right? But like this is like structures are still up.
Yeah.
We see this, we still see the structures, and this is like no structures, nothing left standing, rarely anything left standing, and if it is, it's useless. Even the land itself, once they clean it up, it's gonna be hard. Like all that burning and of the land is just not good for the agriculture. So it's gonna be a while for that to even be usable land in a way that could even sustain itself. So, dude, this man, gratitude is the word because it's like, man, what do we have here, man? What do we have? Um, and so, man, it's been heavy, bro. So with this gratitude, I also feel this heaviness, man. I can't lie, can't hold you. I'm trying not to. Um, I think allow it to make me isolate and sink in a way. Because we had that conversation. I was like, man, I'm bad at responding to your text, and so I do appreciate that you share with me, like, man, like what you're thinking. So it wasn't like you know, um, you just told me how it made you feel, not in a way that was attacking me, of like, but I could tell it's like you just want to like have that open lines of communication, make sure you're not bugging when I don't reply to you, and so, but I'm like, that's not something I can do, but it's like the things that are in my mind, and then I have this like whatever's in front of me is what I could pay attention to, because like even remembering little things or remembering stuff that I already said I was gonna do a schedule to my, like my memory is shot, and then it's because then I find myself overthinking of certain things that are happening and then feeling again the weight and the heaviness of like all this news, uh all the my personal stuff, right? So it's been heavy out here, man. Yeah, it's just news after news, bro. That's terrible. And so, you
That's why a
know
lot of people, not to cut you off,
yeah,
but just to add on, is like a lot of people with their first immediate feeling towards it is like it, it's a spiritual warfare in the sense of like this is just like really hurting a lot of people, like indirectly as well. There's so much going on.
yeah,
Uh,
man.
it's been a lot. This is
So
one of the first times where I felt like I was on the other side of like the conspiracy talks. Like everyone's talking about that. Like not everyone, but
yeah,
certain
but the
people
same thing you're
are,
seeing, yeah, yeah.
and I'm on the other side. Like that it's really it really doesn't do anything to talk about that for me. Like I mean, I'm like you know how can we help? Like or
Right,
you know
exactly,
how can
man.
I help in my like with conversation like.
Right.
Just thinking about where to place my focus instead of just talking about that because
And going down some rabbit holes, right?
yeah, like
Like,
I don't know, reminding myself of where my power is because although those things may be true, excuse me, giving it to God is like something new. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'll get to that.
yeah. So, all right, man. So we're both, starting off. I mean, I will say I'm trying to I do have I'm lock in on some goals. I've reflected on stuff that we were able to do, personal goals that I was able to meet last year in 2024, and some stuff that I didn't get to, from like little things, like even, well, it's not little. I was gonna say I want to learn how to do a handstand, which is not very little because it's hard to do.
Oh no, yeah, bro.
but
Especially,
um but
yeah.
hopefully this year, and I think other stuff like, man, going to sleep earlier, waking up and starting to do, so I say exercise, but it's really like, spending 20-25 minutes in the morning doing like stretching exercises and mobility work. So far last week I was pretty, I started off okay. I faltered a bit, man, and I noticed when I fell asleep really late, I didn't get up in the morning to do my routine. But this week, starting off strong again. And so just wanted to keep it going. And I think that's how I've been able to sort of balance the heaviness is by like having these smaller goals for myself and just trying to meet them. In addition to just trying to be more present with those around me because man, you really don't know, man. You really don't know. Um, folks are here one day and then the next day they might not. Um, so yeah, just trying to be present with folks and then trying to meet my smaller goals to balance like all this heavy stuff that's happening around me.
Yeah, man.
Because I'm sure folks are probably like, man, how do you deal with this heaviness, man? And I think as men, we sometimes drown ourselves in other things. We ignore it. We ignore that we're walking around with a heavy heart, you know. So we might become isolated. We might become less talkative, which is, I'm speaking for myself. I think that's where I was headed, not responding to texts, like just being low, like you know what I mean, just very much like thinking, but not thinking enough, like thinking too much, but not even thinking in the right things or putting my thoughts in the right place and my focus. So not allowing me to be present. So again, I know as men we tend to like isolate, be quieter, try to go out to have fun, but not really being present in the moment, right? Like doing these things that we're supposed to do. So I'm trying to skip all that and not fall into those patterns. Especially not this year, man. I saw how last year, while a lot happened in the year, it came and went, So it's focusing on, there, man. Focusing on the smaller goals, man. Man,
Sure. Came in one for sure, for sure.
man,
It's kind of, it's already mid January almost pretty much.
yeah.
Nah, yeah, but
So
feels like it.
true. So yeah, so we have some things that we wanted to get into and topics we talked about before, And so the first one going back to, of course, what we started with, right? The LA and
Yeah,
California
the
fires,
fires.
man. Uh,
Love to those people out there, everyone out
yeah,
there, man.
man. Love to those and prayers, man.
Mm.
I am reflecting on it. I keep up with the news as well. I've also been looking into like um where are some relief funds and places where donations. I was looking specifically for like really local folks. I mean, that could really use the help. I mean, when did you first hear about the fires? Actually, like I didn't really ask you that, but like when did you like
When
when they were first kicking off? Were you already
pretty
like
sure,
in?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
bro. I can't even recall how many days, but soon as it hit news,
yeah.
and yes, and so I know a few people out there too. So the all that information has been circulating. So I just do my best to like what I can from over here of just sharing the information. But it's just it's just unfortunate. You feel me?
Yeah, man. I heard the
A
same
lot of
thing.
times it's just making space for them and saying love and just praying for them is the only thing you can do. You
Yeah,
know,
man.
and I try to give power to that.
Right.
That's why I've been realizing really like wow, like I really can't do anything. Like you could do something, but what you would like, it would never e- be equivalent to what you would like to do.
Yeah.
For you want to always do more, but you just can't, and and they all lost so much that you just can't get that back. So it's really was a moment for me of like learning how to like again like that's why the whole talking about conspiracies was like felt just out of touch. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, man, just why are we even thinking about that shit? Like, all of that is just something to focus on to have an enemy, so that you don't just
Mm-hmm.
feel the pain.
Mm-hmm. And then even then, I mean, I start to question, right? Like, what are we doing with that truth? You know what I mean? Like, I think
Nothing.
when I was first looking into these conspiracy theories, these like zeitgeist and with these other I don't know really popular movies
Yeah,
and
look at
films and
that.
things that were
Crazy.
made, I was very much like, wow, who are the bad guys, right? Trying to figure out. But it's like, okay, so once you find out who the bad guys are, then what? Like, what are you gonna do? You still gotta help people. You're not
Yep.
gonna go after the bad guy yourself. You're not Batman. So like, even if you find out that there's like some Illuminati, like, okay, so then what? What? Okay, now you found out who the bad guys are. So right now the only thing we could do is get with the people, man, and again unity. I think you see how what's going on, and I know I'm sharing the live feed now. I don't know if uh maybe we share with the folks what we're looking at here. I just put up a live feed pretty much of like what's happening still out there in California. This is from YouTube. This is from Fox News over there. And man, just look at that,
And
man.
I shall rejoice, for I shall
This is
recover it all.
Jackson vows to rebuild.
Of course, I had pictures of my parents,
it's
a
just
lot
man, I
of
can't even imagine,
valuables, a
man.
lot of silverware, and other things.
You know,
Rebuilding will take years, and he might never
And you saw
replace
his
all
hat.
the
yeah.
instruments and studio equipment that
Look at that.
allowed him to perform and stream for the Don Darnell Ministries. He's hoping that at the very least he can replace his pro-level Yamaha 88-key synthesizer so he can play again for the congregants.
I had a B3 organ there. I had the big baby grand piano. Then I had all the digital
Oof, that's
keyboards. They were
expensive,
all
boy.
stacked there.
Them things weren't cheap.
I asked him
Nah,
to
my
be
man
very
was
specific about.
TikToking. That's crazy.
And you see it,
Wow.
man. Like that's another thing I came across. I saw uh because there's a lot of producers that I also follow. And one of them jumped on Curtis King live, got on the live stream talking about a lot of his folks. He's originally from there. He talked about the musicians, and musicians who are struggling out there as well, who also lost a lot of equipment, man, and just how hard it is to get that back. I mean, music equipment is not, man, and for musicians that's like your life, that's your blood, that's your, so losing that is like, how do you make your music? How do you express
Lot of
yourself?
money. Lot of money.
And how do they express themselves now? To express his anguish and like, and I'm a collector of like, I collect a lot of photos for my family, and I think my family in general had passed that on to us because um, we're big on taking photos and just documenting and stuff like that. So, man, listen, I'm already annoyed with the amount of uh family like history that has been lost with like VHS is being thrown out and stuff like that, and hard drives that failed me with photos in them. So I
Yeah,
get super annoyed thinking about all that stuff that I've already lost. I can't imagine losing all those photos, man. I
right,
mean,
right.
that's our legacy right there, bro. You know, uh, sheesh.
Yeah, right. I know what you're talking about, man.
You know,
It is. It's crazy.
that's the thing that would kill me, man. I think that
You know,
that'll.
it's actually also affected JJ Reddick. You
Yeah,
know, he was
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
like
yeah.
he was saying his whole home.
I mean,
His
listen,
home was burnt down.
it's the entire it's yeah. I mean,
People who don't know who JJ Reddick is, that's the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers.
well, yeah. And for those who have been keeping up as well, another thing that was brought to my attention was like how many acres have burned. It's
Right.
somewhere.
I heard it was almost the equivalent of Manhattan, right?
It's
Or
past the
something like
equivalent
that.
of Manhattan at this
Past?
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
about 17,000 acres or 18,000 have burned, and Manhattan is about 14,000 in acres, bro.
Yeah, so that's
And
like if
none
we
of
lost
us in New
all
York City could
Manhattan.
ever imagine Manhattan right now being
Yeah.
freaking burnt
Yeah.
to crisp, to dust. None of us. We can never. I'm pretty sure we could try to think it, but to actually
Oh,
see it would be a completely, I imagine, out of world, out of body, like some wild, like experience. Yeah,
like a
everything changes
movie.
after that. So I do think that everything will change now because of this. I think this year will prove to we'll see some of what will be the impact of such a catastrophe. I definitely foresee a lot of movement, a lot of migration from humans. I imagine a lot of those Californians will probably be very scared to live there or anywhere near.
New York. They coming over here, boy.
Listen, but we already have our own issue here. You know what I'm saying? A
I
lot of
know, I
people
know,
here
I know.
already. So, I don't know. I imagine Californians would just go to the more nearby states. I mean, the really privileged ones will definitely fly East Coast and say, "I'd rather deal with the snow and the blizzards and the storms than deal with fires." But I'd imagine there's a lot of folks that were like, "Hell no." Anywhere that is even at a small risk of wildfires, they're probably not gonna want to take it at the risk that it could be a dangerous one, and then they lose everything. So
Question. So they say that this started like naturally.
yeah, it's been. And from what I did read, it's been predicted. From what I did read, it's been predicted as far as like the lack of. I mean, look,
But
climate
what's
change
the
at this point.
stoppage? Like,
Well,
and
climate
then
change at
where's
this
the like?
point has been pretty. It's safe to say that it's been pretty. Like we all know what it means, and I think it's mainstream enough that it's not just a few scientists talking about the dangers of like the rising temperatures. I mean, crazy enough for me, Rob. I'll tell you, I remember first hearing about temperature rising back in 2015 at the very least. That's already 10 years now to this day that I've been hearing about the temperature rising and how that's a problem. And I heard it first from Democracy Now! Because they used to
Right,
report it
right, right.
every year. This is the hottest year on record. This is the hottest year. And I remember being at work like, yo, what the fuck? Every year is the hottest year. What the hell's going on? And so with these fires, like if for 10 years ago, we already know it's been burning. So what's been happening with California? There was actually uh, a radio show that goes on YouTube as well. They post their stuff and they discuss one of the local folks from out there discussed what the scientists were warning about before when it comes to like the wind patterns in California mixed with the increased heat out there with the humidity, right? So and the drought, obviously, there's not enough water that's hitting the place to even if these fires go off. Usually, there's enough water that kind of most of that can mitigate the damage, right? But with no water, things drying up, things being susceptible to fire already, um, and now the wind is blowing it. So picture it could have been anything. It could have been a spark from something that starts moving with the wind.
Yeah,
Because then what
yeah.
happens
I
is
mean,
they say
my
the
my question is
they
just
say
that
the
like,
reason why it spread is the wind and then the embers. So the balls of fire basically that get pushed with these 70, 100 miles an hour wind and they go far. So what starts a mile away, a fire that could start a mile away could shoot a fireball a mile far, hit a tree that now is lit on fire because it got hit by a fireball. And so now that tree that's lit on fire gets hit with more wind and starts throwing fireballs even deeper to even
I'm
more.
just saying like the
So
fire department that they have was just
yeah,
not like
crazy.
they just couldn't do it at all. Like there's
Well, so that's
no
another thing, Rob. You bring
like
up
if
another
they
good point.
know,
Well, you asked you right. That's a great point, right? So what about the fire department? Were they not
you
prepared? At
know.
least don't they have scientists on their teams? They likely do. What I've also read is that the fire department have been severely underemployed for a while now, and they've been raising that issue. We don't have enough firefighters. So this is before this wildfire happened. The There was
Mm,
already issues being raised that there are not enough firefighters. And into
okay.
that, Rob, did you know that there's currently prisoners right now who are fighting these fires as well for like five
I know,
dollars
yeah, I did know that. I did know that. I saw
a
that video
day?
actually. It was mad sad, bro. I don't know if we saw the same video, but the guy was like
No, I didn't see
saying
no
hi to
video. I
his.
just read about it. I read about it in an
Oh
article.
man,
Yeah,
there was a
yeah.
video. This guy was saying hi to his daughter, and you could just like, the man was like, the reporter was trying to spin it into the positive, but you're here saving lives, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm doing what I can, doing the best I can. I miss. I just want to say hi to my daughter. I miss you. I miss everybody. And that was interesting because you could just tell, like, man, we're just doing this to get out, like,
They got me out here
saying like,
fighting fire. It's
yeah,
like,
nigga, I
and
might die.
just
I miss my
yeah,
family.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know
And
what I'm
then you might
saying?
end it to get thrown back into a cell. It's just,
I'm gonna do the best I can, but I'm not a fucking hero. Don't do that to me. Like, I
you
miss my
know.
daughter. I just want to say hi to her. I haven't seen. He
Oh,
said
that's
11
sad, bro.
years.
That's sad, bro.
I haven't seen her in 11 years. Phew.
You know. Just all around bad, man. And
So gonna
so,
step out to go do
what I think we're
something.
just noticing, man, and again, I think it's just important for us to talk. And I think the very little that we could do for humans, if we're not, because I'm also not um, want to talk, but I think if all of us don't know, if not, we're not ready to be sort of on the front lines, if you will, to start to do something about the fact that really, like, people who are supposed to be taking care of us, at least who we pay our taxes to, and you're supposed to at least look out for us because we pay your taxes, our taxes. Like they're not looking out for us, man. So it is becoming like this every man for themselves, which sucks. If this is what is gonna happen with our future, I think now more than ever. Again, I think about that unity, man. Figuring out ways we could be in community with each other, as much as possible because it's gonna have to be all hands on deck. When things like this hit the fan. You know, um, for everybody. I mean, you ain't gotta go hug your enemy now. If it's your enemy, stay away. But I do think if we could find some common ground, even with people we don't necessarily like, we don't need that. We're gonna need that. Um, but yeah, man, this is a very tough break. Very tough break for people.
Yeah, I just hope people don't get desperate, like when with everything that you lose. I hope that through the struggle, this difficult journey that they're about to embark on, because it's gonna only get harder. Like you
Hmm.
lost everything, so um, just I pray that what they're able to focus on that they have is enough, and that they make it enough. Because a lot of times I relate to it not being enough, or in comparison to how much you remember that you don't have, that you used to have. But really is just about feed. I don't know, like, which are you gonna feed? You feel me? Like both are true. Like, so let me not feed the one that actually doesn't fuel me. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't give me strength. That's kind of what always helps me focus on optimism. So I pray that everybody could stick together, man. Because they're not alone. It's not one
Yeah,
family that got affected. It was a community.
a community.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting that Kendrick had LA come together, and then this happens, and hopefully they could maintain that strength. You feel me?
Hmm.
Um, Speaking of Kendrick, like
Oh, the
well,
beef, man. It's
yeah,
Kendrick and
yeah.
Drake. We're
You
not
think
gonna let it go.
do you think Drake started this fire? I feel
Listen,
like we gotta break the news here first, and I don't
nah,
know if
man.
anybody asked the question,
Yeah, that's.
but he's got his thing. What's it called? Um, what's the shit called? Fighting Irish.
Irish, yeah. Let me see
If
where I got that
it
at.
sounds like, I don't know, it makes me think of fires. Fighting fire, fighting the Irish. Like,
Man. So he dropped his freestyle, and this is fun. So I'm not even gonna play it, man. So let me just get out of this. I
oh,
was gonna play it,
everybody, you
but
see it. You play on your
yeah.
own time. We're gonna get flagged for it.
Whoa,
You see
whoa.
it. We're here. We did that job for you. Now you know what it's called. It was 10 days ago. You see it.
Yeah, man.
If you want,
Just
let's put the comments up.
hitting the
That's
hitting
more fun.
hitting the new year, man. Hitting the New Year's. I mean, sometimes in YouTube they could be brutal. Um,
Well, GNX came out in the new year too, right or not?
no, because GNX came out while I was in
The
DR, and that was in
album, the
November.
album
The
came
album
out.
came out in November.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
bro, because I was in DR.
It
I was in
feels so
DR.
fresh. That's good.
Yeah.
We're
It
gonna
just
see what
came
this
out. It just
Bad
came
Bunny
out.
album.
I mean, the most recent diss seems to be this Joey Badass also seemingly taking a shot at Kendrick as well. So now we got this whole beef and battle going on. I mean, I do think I do definitely hope it doesn't turn into East Coast West Coast, especially with the event that would just happen. I don't think there's no need for that.
No, no,
Um,
no. I think that's over. Yeah.
you know, but this whole situation, man, I think it was interesting that he came out with a freestyle apparently addressing it. And so what I was catching wind of as I was sharing with you. Well, first, why do you think he dropped this? Do you think he just do you, like because he's responding to some of the things that was being said about him, pretty much, but he didn't do it between the November and December months where like even that and then Kendrick dropped GNX at the end of November and then it was like boy you really not gonna say nothing now. So why do you think he probably dropped something now for the new year?
Honestly, it feels about time. It doesn't feel like he's late. It feel
Mm,
so. It did make sense to me. Yeah, it made sense to drop content. I just don't know if this was the content like that I would have, if I was like, what I'm saying, behind with his team. I would, it's not that it's terrible. It's not that it's bad. It's just that it's like, it's just a jab. It's just a little feel out punch.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. Something I feel like I've seen of Drake. It's an old Drake, but it's something we've seen. Um, he's speaking on personal matters, so it's like ooh, but it's like the information that I feel like that we all have, that we all know, is not personal. So for you to continue, he kind of always does this. It's like if you and I have a problem, me and you, I'll be,
Mm.
but then I start saying something about my life and my childhood growing up, and it's like, yo, bro, but that's not my bro. You're gonna, yeah, I can understand why that would be frustrating for you because that's got nothing to do with what we got going on
Yeah.
right now.
He's like, my dad told
Because
me
the
he got a
issue happened
sister. I
now.
didn't believe him.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, it's like
He's like, what does it have to do with me and you? But
but it's good flows.
yeah,
It's still not to take away from it. It's still good. It's good.
yeah, yeah. That
It's
was a
just
good take, man. I like
interesting
that.
because it's like,
Uh,
damn, Kendrick. He's nice. That was master class, man. That was a master class showing of like, I know my artistry. I know who I am. I know how to fuck shit up. And I'm talking about music. Like he could fuck music up. I think Drake, see for me, Drake, I see his best bet is not to talk about this anymore and do shit like, but it's interesting because it's like your character must have fucked up your connections because I would say do another thing with Rihanna again. Oh, but I guess you can't. You know what I mean? Like, do songs with these people that you've done before, like get Poppy and shit, and do something with what's her name?
well, can't do Scissor no more because Kendrick already.
Sia.
See
Right,
it, yeah.
exactly. Oop. But Sia. I'm like, but who knows? Maybe
Maybe he
again.
got something in the tuck for this year. I mean, he came out with this,
Well,
so
that party next door is
right.
I don't know if people heard about that. I heard about that and I said, exactly, Drake.
Wait, they dropped it or he's gonna drop something
No,
with Party
that they're
next door?
working on
Okay,
it.
okay, they're working on it.
That makes sense to me, you know.
We'll see.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I like that idea of it being a jab and that take. Cause yeah, definitely even reading it back, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like a jab and just
Yeah.
I guess letting us know he's still here and he's just paying attention. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
And people are gonna like that.
yeah,
So, success.
right.
No, it was good.
I think the part that stood out to me in this whole in listening to the freestyle and then digging into it was what was taken out from it, which had to do with LeBron. That's what made me interested when like I started
Right,
seeing
right,
LeBron's
right.
name being floated around with this freestyle. And you can see a bunch of people who talk on it. If you just search up this freestyle, it's a lot of takes. I mean, Joe Budden and his podcast
I wanna
folks
search those lyrics
famously
to
talked
see.
about it. I know I got them twisted, but it made me think about like situations that men have gone through. So what I am reading, um, at least on some blogs and some threads, and I even looked at some of the. I even went back to Reddit. There's a a subreddit dedicated to Drake, and like even there's a lot of dialogue about like you see LeBron's always been fake, and fans kind of pointing out that like LeBron switched up on Drake once Not Like Us came out and Kendrick started winning the battle. And so folks have opinion on that situation and that like LeBron seems like the fake friend who switched sides on Drake once he saw that the other guy was much cooler and was making him look not cool. And so even though it appeared, at least publicly, like Drake did have a closer relationship with LeBron than Kendrick. Like publicly, there are likely you'll find more pictures of LeBron partying with Drake, LeBron chilling with Drake. Drake at LeBron's thing. I mean, the most recent video I saw that when Drake had his recent tour, he he brought out Bronny and LeBron James. His recent tour before the whole thing went down. Um, And so, folks are like, man, LeBron, like you really hung out with Drake, and then all of a sudden, when he started getting washed in the beef, and then you're partying with Kendrick, and you're trying to show up to Kendrick's performances, and people could see you in the warm ups and the pregame, like really jamming out to Not Like Us and singing it with your heart out. Um, and then it's like no love for Drake. So I thought that was interesting because then folks on Drizzy's side are calling him a hoe, a fake ass friend. He's a fake brother. He's not loyal. And then of course in this freestyle, folks are saying that Drake has said a couple bars which are subtly aimed at LeBron switching up on him, and all of a sudden like I guess hanging out and trying to be around Kendrick. Um, so I thought that was interesting because I'm like, man, I think as men we kind of seen that story play out a little bit, maybe in different sort of forms, but I've certainly seen that play out, man. I mean, shit, I've seen.
Mhm.
It's definitely middle school sort of stuff that's happened, but I've recall friends like or guy friends who I thought were down to be cool with me, like switch up once they got around people they thought were cooler, and so now they're hanging out with them now, and I'm all of a sudden not that cool kid no more, and you don't hang out with me now. You're not giving me a pound because I'm not as cool as these other dudes,
Remember,
right?
yeah, you gave him a
Yeah, yeah.
pound.
You have all these like because we have these rules, man, and that's what made me think,
I
man.
was that guy. I
It's
was
still
that guy.
it's still tied to these rules. Well, that was definitely a joke. I'm talking about a more serious manner. Like, I'm really not hanging out with you. You're not the same to me
No, but
because
I think he took it
specifically.
seriously. I think Trips was he was not he wasn't mad, but he was like, yo, I would much rather prefer you is not that no.
Yeah, but again, that wasn't
He
because you thought he was
was
much
frank.
cooler and tougher and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking about
No,
the
no,
guys
right, right.
specifically who switch up because they joined a new crew or a new guy who seems to
Oh,
be tougher than the other
I
guy you
understand.
was
I
just hanging out
understand.
with. And he seems to have more money, more status,
Right.
more power. Because again, with Kendrick pretty much tipping the scales of the balance in that battle, like he had the power, he had the status, he had the recognition, he was breaking records on stream, so you can assume now he got the money. So I think he's hit the trifecta of what I think most men grow up thinking that they have to chase, which is money, the power, and certainly the respect. Because the way Kendrick did it is like he overwon a lot of folks' respect. Um, and then Kendrick had all that. And so now it's like it seems like LeBron went with the guy that has the more money, power, respect, because on the other end, that's what it seemed like Drake was also losing. Money and endorsement deals. Supposedly he was losing partnerships, uh, power, because apparently people again not riding with him like that. And then the respect, of course, because of losing this battle. And then, of course, the things that were being said about him that people do believe. I mean, I honestly was getting tired of Drake and was calling him a lame before this even happened. So I'm not and nobody better not accuse me of being no hater because I've been had my issues with Drake before this. I've been was not a fan. This made me be like, I mean, honestly, Kendrick kind of went hard on him with the whole A minor situation. Which, listen, I remember that clip of Drake,
Yeah,
man,
without
kissing on
doubt.
that 17-year-old
Without
girl,
doubt.
man, in the concert. Like I remember that, man, and I ain't forget it. So you know, aside my feelings aside from him doing cringy stuff and weird predatory type shit, like he lost that battle, man. And I think people, again, it's funny to see then how publicly it seems other men are responding to this, because clearly the West Coast, his West Coast brothers were like, "Nah, we picking a side. It's West Coast over everybody, whoever wants it." And then clearly, I think there's some folks I think we've seen on the East Side publicly who are also on Kendrick's side. But I do think it's interesting though that some East Coast folks were taking Drake's side, like 50. You know, 50 Cent being one of them. I forgot what other East Coast. Uh,
Yeah, it don't gotta be East or West Coast though. I think it's just more. I would hope that it's just about if they doing weird shit, then I'm just not fuck them.
yeah, exactly. So I thought it was, so in that case though, then Rob, it made me think, right? So what is, I know some folks look at it like, is there a way to kind of like look at this and have? Because I'm thinking about, just the young man we work with who may come
Shit is
across.
the connections getting low. You heard?
Oh shit! I wonder if that's on my end or I can't
Oh, I
tell.
don't know. I don't know. But I hear you now.
Okay. Was I also cutting off? Cause now I see you lagging a bit, but I'm
Yeah,
not
man.
sure if that's me or not.
Yeah. What happened? We hitting our 1 hour mark or something? What's going on?
I can hear you though, fine. Right now, what was glitching
All right,
the
all right.
most? Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I just want to hear what you're saying. Though. I couldn't hear the beginning of your sentence.
No, I was what I was referring to is this. You say you can hear me now. I'm sorry. Oh no, I was just double checking because it looked like his camera froze, and I think his camera did freeze, y'all.
It
Oh no, and it
did,
froze.
it did.
It froze in a pretty funny
But now I hear you.
position. You looked a little. If only I could like kind of like I can't even remake the face you had on. That looked pretty. It looked pretty funny. Not gonna lie to you.
That's hilarious.
I was trying to figure it
Uh,
out.
my real time faces were probably even funnier because I was like,
Yeah, yeah. No, you were pretty stuck. Um,
uh.
yeah, no, it looked a little stuck. You had like you were about to sneeze. Oh man, but it's really freezing now a lot more than it was before, which is a problem. Now I just hear you laughing, but I'm not sure when it's gonna get fixed. But it is it your connection or my connection that's messing with your connection? I don't know how it's working. I don't know how it's working.
I don't know.
Mhm. So I don't know what's going on. I just know nothing's nothing's working. I think I was making a point about LeBron though,
I think I'm
and the whole
moving now. Though.
situation,
Now I'm moving.
because I was wondering, again thinking like from the outside looking in. Again, these are grown men. I mean, I wonder if there's a way that they could even mend this, or was there a way for like let's say like was there a way for LeBron to respectfully make that choice and like move to the other side with like and just letting and then having that kind of discussed in a way or hashed out with Drake. And again, I don't know their situations as well. We don't know the background. Again, publicly there are photos, a lot, a lot more photos of Drake hanging out with LeBron, but we don't know if LeBron they hung out with Ken. Like we don't know none of that. So, but again, assuming that
Yeah.
things are going by like the way we see it publicly play it out, I wonder if there's a way that there could have been a conversation. I mean, if LeBron really felt some type of way, I think as a man, it would have been fair to talk about Drake, or maybe at least hit him up and talk to him. Because again, it's not. It would suck if what really happened is that, LBJ stopped picking up Drake's phone calls. It's like don't do him like that, man. Don't not pick up his phone calls now. You see him losing in the battle, you try and call him, get his advice, and you're not even picking up no more. LBJ, like you can't do that. I feel if he was truly his friend, I think the more I think to move with integrity would have meant to like at least have a conversation, like yo, at least ask him like, are these things he's saying about you true? Like I'm not gonna lie, it makes you feel a type of way. Like he's mentioning all these predatory things you did, and like now I don't know. I kind of do feel a little different. I never really thought about it this way, but like right, like is there room to have that, or do men even do that? Like, does that sound like too much? You know what I'm saying? Is that me speaking because like, nah, we're not gonna do that, man. F all that. We're not just gonna talk about it. You weird, and that's it. Like I'm not gonna talk to you. I'm not gonna talk to you. Why do I have to explain it? I'm pretty sure most men probably feel that way.
You froze.
Oh, really? I froze on your end?
Yeah. I don't know. Did it catch me? Yeah. My shit's like
Well, cause now I see that
reading
you
over here.
froze, but it didn't look like you froze. So I thought you were actually active and you were frozen. I mean, on my end on OBS, I'm not showing up as frozen on OBS. So I don't know. I'm assuming I'm not frozen on the stream because on OBS
Oh,
I'm moving fine
so
with my
it's me. It's
camera.
me. Yeah, I mean, I live in the ghetto still. I think they're like they
Yeah, because it was smooth for like a good solid 40 something minutes. It just started cutting. Yo, the way the camera froze on you is crazy right now, bro. I'm not even gonna show people because
have shields in the sky of us that like lower our Wi-Fi.
yeah, yo, you look chino. Like I don't even, I don't know if that's proper to say, but yeah, the way it's frozen on the camera. Anyway,
I think I am Chino though. Honestly, bro, when I think about it, I think I am Chino. Like I think I have some Asian descent. I ain't gonna hold you.
yeah, the way the camera froze was all right. Hopefully, it doesn't lag out
Okay,
anymore. So I'll
there we
leave it.
go. We back. Hey,
All
we
right,
back.
are we back? Are we back? Oh, I feel like I can see gray hairs on my beard
Are we?
from this
Okay.
camera, which is not bad because I'm wondering where my gray's at. You know,
Yeah, and it look like you don't have long hair.
nah,
You just got
yeah,
a
because I got my little
puff. Yeah.
bag right here. But yeah, I was just rambling on at this point, but the freezing stuff kind of threw me off with the LeBron and
Man.
thing situation. It did make me I was thinking about male friendships. Just I found that interesting because again, I think in general men are not like in this situation. I don't think is usually something that men will talk about. You know what I mean? I think it would just
I
play
did
out.
hear what you said about integrity and like, you know what I'm saying, if they were friends. That's the
Right.
big question. If
Right.
they were friends. See,
Yes.
to me, if I was in Drake's position and I don't like even have to be, I would just be looking at it like, that's not your friend, bro. That's not my friend. It's not a friend. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't even gotta, that's where I'm at in my life. I don't even gotta ask the question. You know, it just shows. And so that to me, it just shows like from the beginning, it was business. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They met on what, the set of that Sprite commercial, maybe? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
it's business.
Yeah.
You both started your career early. All of y'all did. And y'all don't got to end up the same way. You know, there are a lot of people that I miss that, like, I wouldn't, I had to ask myself, like, well, but should I really, like, am I going to start a whole friendship again with them? Like, how we were spending time again, like that? I don't know. I don't think so because I just don't have that time now and I don't really want to do that, but I missed them. Nonetheless, I missed them. And I'm like, oh shit. So it kind of shows me, like, like, just because you don't, people fall out of it, or you don't even have to fall out of it. Like sometimes just that's just a way of life. You know what I'm saying? Like I haven't eaten a salad in a while. Do I miss? I love salads. I should have a salad. Maybe I can have one tomorrow. Like you could see it. I hope salad doesn't think I hate them. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like if salad have feelings, like you know what I'm saying? Like we gotta like we don't all have to be friends, but that don't mean that we're enemies.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but again, if you're doing fuck shit and again, you know what I'm saying, fucking with people who, we got rules, laws, like underage children, people like that. I'm not jacking it.
Yeah.
Again, now having like access at MSG and seeing like how these, bro, I've seen even how parents are having their kids, letting their kids come to these concerts, and I'm like, oh god, like it's not just the men that succumb to seeing them
Damn. Froze again.
like, but why are we even oh, vocally too.
Nah, you good. You good. Yeah, vocally a little bit, but you were
Oh, oh,
saying
oh.
that you see how parents
I just feel like it's not just
sent their
the
younger child for
perpetrators.
concert. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just the people who succumb to the temptations and sin or that are the problem. You feel me? It's like
Oh no,
again,
bro.
I succumb to the temptation of
That's
smoking. I'm the problem, but there's also a distribution industry going on, right? Like
mm,
I always say, like people, come on, bro. You're not
no, no,
the day that
no.
we communicate about the child trafficking, um, kind of like the money that they're making. When we start communicating that differently in this world,
Mm,
like then I'll start believing. Like, but now we just talk about it like we heard about it, and it's like, nigga, no, stop that shit. Whoever's getting these numbers knows something, and they're too close. That shit is dirty. That shit is nasty. So I
yeah.
don't put no faith in nobody, bro.
Oh yeah, no, you're opening some other can of
Yeah,
worms almost
cans
there,
of
man.
worms.
But I do think that like
Our
definitely
baby's
no to the
innocent.
fuck shit.
Come for me.
No, 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 no. It's not even about just that. It's just thinking about like in terms of the conversation, right? As far as like also what are the parents' responsibility as
Uh,
far as like some things that are happening, right? Um, and even going, thinking about this situation, I think hopefully, like you said, we don't know if they're really friends or not. So they're gonna move on. It definitely was business. And also if he really
Yeah,
was doing the predatory things that um he's being accused of, I do think, as you said, man, I think that we have no place for that in our society. That kind of harmful behavior. We know it affects a lot of people, who leaves people scarred for life. So, if that is the case, then LeBron made the right choice, right?
and I'm gonna tell you
State
that
of
shit is gross, and it
so
will expose itself because if that
so
shit is all
um
true,
right,
and then he's gonna go and do a thing, then that's how it backfires.
right.
The whole shit with party next door,
So
because
we'll
now it's
see.
like, oh, that's an underage party next door. Like y'all didn't say that. Y'all didn't say that part. Like yeah,
So,
now y'all getting crazy.
you know, that
Now
would be one.
the last thing I want to hear is you talking sexy, and it's like, we're saying this shit to Mac to some 24-year-old. That's not, fuck.
Well, I do think. Listen, if 2024 showed us anything, and not just 2024, man, I think the 2020s. We are now at the halfway mark, bro. I am reflecting on that too. It's 2025. We're at the halfway mark to this decade, which is fucking crazy. Because when we hit the 2020s, it sounded like a wild number, just to say we're in the year 2020. And then to think about the events that happened from that year on till now, it's like, again, a wild, dang roller coaster, man, of things that is like, yo, if you really don't sit down and have conversations like the ones we have here at the Manuscript on Mondays, man, you may not be able to process all of it. And sometimes that may not be good because it might seep into your subconscious, and make you feel all types of ways you might not even know it. Um, and even this, like, we talked about this LeBron stuff. I know this could be considered gossip and Drake fighting the beef, right, to distract us from real stuff. But it is in our faces, right? And it is things that we talk about. It is stuff that makes us think about friendships. And again, for men who look up, young men who look up to these guys, I'm sure men are torn, like young men are torn who look up to all of these guys. Like, man, all my favorites are fighting. Or what about those who were fans of Drake and LeBron? And now you're like, wow, now they're beefing. How am I supposed to feel? Looking up to both these men who are powerful to me. So it's not looking good, and I'm sure, like I do wonder, how the young men feel about it, which I'm gonna start surveying, whenever I come across, just to see if they're connecting with it, just to see how they feel about it. Because I know that the one thing that is grabbing onto this generation is this attention. It's just whatever's trending and whatever's trolly and whatever's cool. But I will say though, I know we have reached the hour mark, Rob, because I know one last topic we did have to cover was just like this violence, the increase in violence as well, man. I know last when we got on our show to do the manuscript, you had shared with me this news that I wasn't even aware about, of this woman who was, which now in New York City, I think most of us, if New Yorkers, know this story by now. But at the time, I wasn't aware that this woman was unfortunately lit on fire by this random man on the subway at like 7:30 in the morning. And more details came out recently. I think they just released the woman's name. Um, and yeah, man, it was a horrific story. I think it definitely, we talked about it. It shook us. I think it shook definitely a lot of New Yorkers. I mean, people who don't even live in New York, who I've talked to, asked me about it. And since then, there's been a string of more stuff happening in the subway, specifically stabbings. And I think the scary part, and the concerning part, is that some of these things, again, they're reported as being random. So I think that's the worst, because typically when I think of crime and violent crime, what numbers also say is that you're likely to be like harmed by someone you actually know. Like, right? It's like crime is not occurring between off strangers like that as often as it is among like people who know each other or at least have some sort of interaction. But these crimes now, man, that we're seeing on these subways in New York City, like again, they seem to be very randomly provoked. And
Yeah,
I don't take
yeah.
the subway, but I know people like yourself, Rob, and the people that I do love and care for who do take the subway, and I'm like, you know, man, how what the how's it going? Because I know also there's been fear of the subway for years, and I've taken the train, and I've been like,
Yeah, you used to. You
that's
used
the
to.
fear mongering. But then there's some things you're used to. But I don't know, man. The last time I did take the train, there are some things that I saw that I'm like, okay, there's definitely an increase of this. You know,
Homelessness, right? Yeah, it's an
well,
increase of.
that's we've
of
known, and that's been by the numbers, right?
Yeah. And I've also seen them openly do drugs in places. I was telling you how they would like they squat literally in the place where the elevator would go, and amazingly enough, people would go in there still and press the elevator to go and use it while they're fucking laying down in
Shooting,
there,
yeah, shooting up.
like laying down. Some of them shooting up. It was bad. I was like, oh my goodness, like um, it was bad. It was bad. I mean,
Yeah, it's the
um,
man, we desensitized Rob, you know what I'm saying? I think you're still in the moment, so you can see how
yeah.
that just does not that's not okay. Cause it's not. And I will say, man, I think, I'm wondering now, like, is that I guess I would love to have a conversation with folks who grew up here in the 80s and 90s again. I mean, definitely my parents would be, well, not my mom came around 80, 85, 84, 84. She came in 84. Um, my dad
What are you
came
trying to get
in
at? Like,
86.
what? Just what? How
Well,
did they
because
feel about it?
apparently,
Desensitized.
when you hear about the stories of the train systems then, right? It, in a way, it's sort of still paled in comparison to what we see now, or does it? Like, so will someone from the 80s still be like, yeah, you have no idea. Yes, what's a little crackhead taking the elevator with you, like, versus what I saw in the 80s. You know what I'm saying?
What's a little crackhead? I hear
I'm
you. I
wondering,
hear
like, is
you.
that or in the 90s? I mean, we were definitely,
Nah, but
childhood was in the
being lit
90s.
on fire and then burning like that, standing up, the guy stepped outside, took a look at you, fanned it for a bit, then got on the other side and went headed on his way. Nah, there's a lot of different shit out
I
here.
mean, but Rob, remember, we don't know
I
all the
know we
shit
know
that was,
stabbings and shootings. I mean,
but
but
we
we
don't
all
know the
lived
shit
through
that
it.
was really happening in the 80s that wasn't
We
reported,
don't, we
bro.
don't, we don't.
We
Yeah,
got
we don't.
cameras
Right, right,
now.
right,
We got
right,
cameras everywhere. So we
right.
don't know the people that got uh, probably
It was
burned
probably
alive. You know what
crazy
I'm
for sure.
saying? Que Dios lo libre.
You
You
know.
know what I'm saying? Like, how many people actually that probably happened to got dumped in a freaking tunnel somewhere that we don't even know in the 80s and 90s? Again, because
Now they
crime,
had prostitution. Now we got OnlyFans. But there's some man things are legal now.
some things are, hey, improvement.
Some things are legal.
Calling that, can we call that, can we call
Yeah,
that, let me see
I don't know.
real
I don't
quick.
know. It's a business.
No, we call that, I'm just wondering if we could call that an improvement. Um, I'm looking now to see if we have any, like, what was the historical crime data. So New York City,
Mm,
and I think most municipalities have and keep this record. So you can see, like, the crime data from, like, I think the most recent they got is from 2000. I was trying to see from the 90s though, but right now the historical stats they're keeping is from 2000. So we can see citywide violations, misdemeanor, major felony offenses.
2000.
Um, God, I know there's a way to check out, like, let me see. Did I find it? Well, really, what I'm trying to see if I could take a quick look at is the murder rate. To be quite honest with you, um, be really quickly. Just because I'm curious, of course, about, like, what those numbers were in the 90s and then what they are now, for perspective at least. You know what I'm saying? If in the
Right.
last year we had 400 murders in the city, but in the 90s there was 900, 1,000 murders average in the city, and again, the ones that were reported, that's kind of like that's wild times for the 90s, bro, that we still haven't reached. If the city got that high of a number. Now, I'm saying it incorrectly. If I'm not mistaken, I believe in the 90s the murder rates were reaching in the 400, 500, 600 range. um I mean, right now, according to this website here, there's been 9 murders so far in the year.
This year?
Yeah, last year there was only 6 by this time.
Shit, that's dangerous, man. This motherfucker gonna be like FanDuel out here.
So that's a problem
I put
because,
$20 at it. It stays at 6 for another 3 weeks.
you
How much you
know,
got?
right, because we're not looking good. We're not looking good. You know what I'm saying? We're not looking good so far because,
It's bad.
um,
It's crazy.
already 3 more. But yeah, I do wonder about the past, and what that looked like in a sense, because again, just to kind of put into perspective to what we're going through now. I mean, I do talk to my own mom about, like, her experiences on the train, and she she's like, man, it's like any other time. Just be attentive, know where you're going. I see people doing their thing. I just mind my business. Knowing how to ride the subways and trying to keep not standing too close to the train, say right, standing far away from the edge,
Do
right.
not talk to the Chinese man with the suitcase.
you know, if he asks you to play, damn, what's that
It's
game?
that hacky sack
The
game.
hacky sack is a paper game or something. Um, but yeah, I do wonder again for perspective from older folks who did take the trains in the '90s and '80s, like. Is it like panic? Or is it just that you're seeing more homelessness in a way that it didn't exist in the subways as before? And that's being equated to the subways are worse, which is not fair to folks who are homeless because they didn't, what we know about folks who are houseless and homeless is that their situations were created by the conditions of society. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an indictment on our society that folks are like that we take the subway and we see folks suffering there, who haven't showered for days. Like that's not on the person who didn't shower for days. If it got that bad and they're there, that's a systemic problem, and we should. I mean, I've read that there's shelters closing down. I'm like, why are there shelters closing down? Like, at a time where homelessness is a problem, So that's the type of stuff I'm talking about, and not to even get into it too much, but shelters are already widely known to have just terrible reputations anyway. They're not safe for women
Yeah.
and children. Women constantly have to fear for for getting actually sexually assaulted or their children being harmed in the process. And then men have to constantly deal with the violence of people trying to steal their stuff and just the fighting that goes on because people are desperate in there. And these are places with little resources and no comfort. Um, yeah, I could go on, man. That's something like, let me just, because I've worked with
I
folks
mean,
who
it's evident. You could just see, like, people. They
I've
don't
worked with
seem to
folks
be
in
eager
shelters.
to
It's
go to a
not,
shelter. It
man.
doesn't
It's
seem like a
not
shelter.
easy. It's not easy. And yes, some shelters come in the form of apartment buildings. So, but that, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't, yeah, because I've been to some buildings, buildings that are like, you think it's, I guess, quote unquote, a regular building, right? But you walk in and it's actually a shelter. But still,
Yeah.
man, the layout, the way the apartments are actually in there are different. The locks are different. It's yeah, if someone's never been inside an actual shelter or at least know someone who's been in one, I think it's you probably learn and research what actually goes on in there, especially if your opinion is a nasty one on shelters or if you're gonna casually just tell someone, well, why don't you just go to a shelter? I was like, well, you gotta actually understand what goes on in there before you just throw that out there, um, and at least visit one to before you throw it out there, because it's not that easy. But in terms of the violence, I do think that with this platform, I do hope that this year to combat it, I know I'm certainly looking for it. Just more platforms and places that are going to talk about unifying folks, how folks can help each other out, where the donation efforts at, where that because that's what we need more than anything, right? To counterbalance the stuff that's already happening, the stuff that's coming as a result of all the bad shit that's already been happening. So we need more of that, man. Because this violence is here. We need to talk about how we can keep ourselves safe and protected, um, with or without weapons, right? And I think that's also important. And again, trying to bring back a sense of real community, where people care about each other. Each other. They don't just walk over the next man if they see them down, um, which is often
Yeah,
still the case.
I have a story for you real quick
Yeah,
before we go of how all this shit going on changed me. I realized,
yeah.
like, I step off I gotta go the long way to get to work, and I gotta take the shuttle. I'm stepping off the shuttle, and as I get off the shuttle, this is the first time I'm doing this in a long. I haven't done the shuttle shit in a while, so I'm doing it. Boom,
Like
I'm
which
looking
shuttle? Which
around.
shuttle are you taking?
That shit when you get off the five and
Oh,
you
the
want to take the shuttle.
seven. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, seven.
So
Whoa, pause. The
right,
S, actual
exactly.
S, the S, the S. That takes you just from 42nd. Yep, yep, yep.
Exactly. So I
You
take
haven't been
that
in
and
a
I'm
minute. You see how it
yeah,
changed?
wow. Yeah, and I'm looking
Woo!
around then, right? I see this Mexican woman selling fruit. I'm like, oh, damn. I took a second, took like 5 steps, then stop, got my pocket and went back. Asked her how much, $5. Boom. Took the watermelon. But as I'm taking it and I'm seeing how she was cutting it up, so it was a little uncomfortable for her because she didn't want to waste her glove. So I'm like, take your time. I'm looking at this guy and he seems homeless, and he's like looking like a little, like a little sus, like just trying to eye me, kind of like how you looking like
Mm.
that, but from the angle over there. And I look, and I immediately think about her
I'm
safety, and
looking
I'm
at you,
like, damn, this
sus.
is. And I'm like, and he's like, God, how you looking at me right now? Like that shit. Nah, no. So I'm thinking to myself, how safe is she gonna be when I walk away? You feel me? Like this shit
Mm.
was different. It was like, damn, so I just looked at him and said, "You want one?" And he was just like, "Yeah." And I was like, come over here, pick one." And he came through, picked one. I gave it a 5 for him. I was hoping that she'd leave him alone. You know, I mean that he'll leave her alone. You feel me? I was thinking to myself, you can never know. You never know if
It's like, did I just
somebody's.
invite the danger over?
You feel me? Like
You know what I'm
that.
saying?
That's the
That
sad
sucks,
shit,
man. Cause you
bro.
try to
You
do
never
something
know,
good, but
bro.
then,
Yeah,
ah,
because you know what I'm saying.
what
Like
what a
in
dilemma.
my mind, you'll be pushed to do something bad because you're desperate. But now, if you could see that you don't have to do something bad when you're desperate, that good could happen to you.
Mm,
Now the conversation is, are you evil? Like whether darkness is either coming from the outside or in.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? Like now that's the conversation because we're all affected from the outside, but we got to have the conversation from those who actually believe in the darkness and give up on the light, and then they start causing pain too because they're just like fuck it. Those are the ones that's like, ah, nah, see now, you know what I mean? Like
gotta
he's
help you see the
greedy,
light, man. Gotta help you
and
see the
then
light.
again, that battle there is for me to not look at my good deed and think that I was the problem, like I invited the evil over. It would just be exposure. It would just be exposure because I don't believe that the dollar does anything. But that's why I didn't give him the money. I gave him the option. Come and even choose yours.
And do you want to
And I
eat? Yeah.
go, all right, that's it. Like you good. You
Wow.
know what I mean?
Shout out to
Hopefully,
that, man. Yeah, man.
hopefully she's all right.
That's good.
That watermelon was good, man.
That was good. Feel good story, man. Feel good story. I like
Yes,
that, man.
oh,
That's a good end. That's a
love.
good end. That's a feel good story. All right.
Little shit like that. I hope that a lot of people, what I'm saying, like for me, that I'm not trying to take that too far, not too low. You feel
Yeah,
me?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. The little
but give
things,
love to
man.
those moments. Like those are the little things that if it just came to me, like what I'm saying, like I'm not there for everybody every day, but that moment it just happened. I was upset about how much trains I had to go on, boom, boom, boom for the weekend. But then look, boom, I've passed fruit carts before and been like, oh, well, damn, I should have bought one that day. And then today I did it. And it wasn't like I just bought it and didn't see nothing. Look, I
Yeah, yeah.
bought it and then saw that man looking oddly suspicious, but it got to be negative. Nah, he just wanted something I could get, but he could get it
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm. That's right, man.
This generation would say pause, but come on, we passed that.
We passed that. Yeah, man. Make sure you help those in need whenever you can. And I like how you said it, right? If it comes to you, hopefully, don't think about it too.
Yeah.
Don't think
That's,
about it too much, man. If you
oh,
thought
think
about helping
about
the,
it too much.
if you thought about helping the next person, I think just go for it, man. Um, and hopefully, blessings, good karma comes your way as a result, right? Not worse, but even so, I think leading with that kind of heart and mind is very powerful and should, hey, man, let that be our theme for 2025. Leading with your heart, and being kind to others and trying to be in unity, right? And what comes comes. Yeah. So we are at our past an hour, man. We're going for it, man. I think we're smooth though. I know we focus a lot on the LA Fires and a little bit on this uh, Kendrick beef, I guess revival or maybe not with Drake, but what came out of that.
Nah,
But we
Kendrick
definitely,
buried him.
yeah,
That's it. Kendrick
yeah.
put that shit to rest. That's what I
Um,
realized when I heard that shit. I was like, "There's nothing you could do, bro. Just go about your business." Yeah, actually do that. Yeah, keep talking about your personal shit. Don't even talk about this
yeah.
anymore. Like,
So
because all I hear is the whole album. GNX ain't even about you, but it's about you. Like he just the whole fire ass album just like put you to bed, bro. So
yeah. So we'll definitely have more. Well, we'll see, man. I think because that jab could have been felt. So we'll see what comes.
fighting
As of this, we
virus.
definitely still have more in store again here at the 80th for another manuscript. Thank you again, Rob. Man, appreciate
Love,
you
man. Love. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, man.
for
Love to
sure,
y'all,
man.
man. Again, LA, be safe, man. Everybody be safe. Love.
That's right, y'all. Peace, man.
I'll be catch you, my brother. Appreciate you.
And put the ending screen.